So for today's Cook at Home meal kit, we're going to make veal scallopini. It's going to have a lemon caper butter sauce, some oyster mushrooms, and some pappardelle pasta. As always, we'll have the recipe written down as well as the QR code at the top and the amounts on the bottom. You'll have some all-purpose flour, some pure ground black pepper, a little splash of lemon juice, some kosher salt, some white wine, a little bit of chopped parsley, some capers. This is veal, some heavy cream, some butter, some oyster mushrooms, 2 nests of fresh pappardelle pasta, and some broccolini spears. So for this dish, there's only 2 things that you will have to prep. One of them is the oyster mushrooms. And if you turn it over, you'll see that it's grown in a cluster. So what we're going to do is kind of trim around that base and free up some of those mushrooms. So we're just gonna follow that base until we get them all separated. And then we're gonna save those for later. So now when you make veal scallopini, typically you would use top round or you would use an eye round. In this case, we're gonna use what's called a butt tender. So it's the top end of the tenderloin. This is essentially how it's packaged. I've already taken off the silver skin for you. I've given you about a 6 to 7 ounce portion. So we're gonna get 3 pieces out of this. We're just gonna cut it into 3 even pieces. So we're gonna sandwich that between 2 pieces of plastic wrap, and we're gonna use a meat mallet. Anytime you use a meat mallet, what you wanna do is as you come down, it's kind of push out to the exterior. And what you're gonna do is flatten those until you get nice thin pieces. The next step is to season them up real well. Just make sure you remove your glove and wash your hands before you go into the kosher salt. So kosher salt on one side, and then some pure ground black pepper. And then we'll do the same thing to the other side. And then I have my pan of flour here, so we're just going to dredge this veal into the flour. And anytime you're dredging something, that's what it means, is to coat something with a dry ingredient. And then it will be fried or seared or whatever the application is. So now it's dredged in flour, it's already been seasoned, so now we're gonna get to cooking everything. So the first thing we're going to do is cook our broccolini first in the pasta water. So we're just gonna give it a little salt, and then we're gonna drop the broccolini in there, and we're gonna cook those until they're tender. Next, we're gonna add oil to both pans. I like to use canola oil, or you can use a blend of canola oil and olive oil. So what we're gonna do is cook the mushrooms. So with mushrooms, you don't wanna shake the pan at all. You just wanna let them sit and get them nice and caramelized. We're gonna remove our broccolini. And we're gonna save that for the plate up. And we're gonna put a little more salt in the water, because when you're cooking pasta, you wanna make sure that the water tastes like the ocean, as they say. So we're gonna put the pasta nests in there. Fresh pasta or fresh frozen pasta takes a lot less time to cook than dry pasta. So dry pasta takes about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on this type of pasta. Fresh pasta takes about 5 minutes. Shake off any excess flour that we have. And put the veal in there. And if it needs a little more oil, you just go around the rim. And now our mushrooms have caramelized real nice. We're gonna add our heavy cream. And then when they have nice browning on the bottom, just flip them over. And they'll essentially cook all in the pan. And once it's cooked real well on both sides, just remove them from the pan. And what you have left in here is what's called fond. So this brown goodness, you really want to take that and put it into your sauce. So we're gonna do what's called deglazing. So we got all that fond off with the white wine, and we're gonna add that to our sauce. Now we're gonna strain our noodles, and we're gonna reserve that for plate up. So now we have our cream reduction with the fond that we put in there, as well as the mushrooms. I've turned the burner off. And just from the residual heat, we're gonna add some butter and just kind of keep shaking it around. And just shake the pan until it's incorporated. We're gonna add a little bit of lemon juice and then some capers. And then make sure to season it up with some kosher salt and some black pepper. Now we've got all our ingredients ready for the plate up. This is that sauce with the mushrooms. I added a little bit of the chopped parsley to that. The pasta I kept hot, tossed it with a little extra virgin olive oil, some salt, pepper, and some more of that chopped parsley. The broccolini, I put a little bit of butter, some salt, and some pepper. So let's go ahead and plate up. So what I've done with the pasta is I have these tongs, and basically I've just spun the pasta onto the tongs. You can do the same exact concept with a meat fork, but it just gives it a little bit of a cleaner presentation. So then we're just gonna lay that down here and just remove it carefully. And then we'll place our broccolini. And then finally our veal. And then lastly, the sauce with the mushrooms, capers, lemon juice.